Hey everybody, we're getting ready to head down to Disney's Fort Wilderness in our RV with a brand new tow vehicle. Stick around and I'll tell you about the brand new Ford Maverick HYBRID. So in the past, we towed a Jeep Wrangler, two-door JK soft top, and it was about, give or take, under 4,000 pounds, which is where we needed to be with this vehicle. We looked at a bunch of different things. I've got a Ram. It's too heavy. We looked at the Chevy Colorado, GMC Canyon, which are basically the same vehicle. They're right at the top of our weight limit. So we wanted something a little bit smaller. Full-size Bronco's too heavy. And several other things were just too heavy. We're kind of limited by our weight because this can only tow 5,000 pounds. So we needed something a little bit smaller. We found ourselves needing a new tow because of problems with the recall on the Jeep. There was a possibility of a fire. Well, we took it to the dealer. They said we weren't affected by the recall. Took it back because we were starting to experience transmission issues. They said it was safe to drive, and then this happened. Obviously, we didn't want to get another Jeep. So we were looking at different options, and the Maverick came in to be the closest to the weight of the Jeep, and has quite a few benefits. So let me tell you a little bit about the truck before I show you how to set it up.
Backyard baseball with a stain on my shirt. Swing as hard as I could for all it was worth. I closed my eyes.
So the first thing I need to point out is only the hybrid models can be flat towed, which is what we have, and it's great because we're getting about 40 miles a gallon on this thing right now. And when you're pulling it behind something that only gets you about 7 or 8 miles a gallon, it's nice to have something that's a little fuel efficient in your arsenal as well. So we're real happy with that. Some people are complaining about it because it doesn't really handle like a truck. Well, if you see it sitting next to my Ram 1500, stock, no lift kit on it or anything like that, it's much, much smaller. It is front wheel drive, so it's gonna handle a lot more like a car and a lot less like a truck. But that's okay because, I mean, you're getting 40 miles a gallon. And you still have the cargo space. It's got a 4-foot bed. So you got plenty of cargo space, 4-door, plenty of room in it. A little tight in the back seat, but not too bad. So when the Jeep went up in flames, originally we were looking at another Jeep, and we thought we'd just do what we already knew. They're supposed to be very easy to tow and very easy to set up. Getting the Jeep out of the transfer case was always a bit of a problem. With this, it's just a couple of buttons that you have to push and just have to remember a couple of minor details, but it's actually pretty easy, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. First, I want to address the issue still about how it doesn't really drive like a truck. It's not a truck. I mean, it looks like a truck, but it is much smaller. It handles like a car. Very smooth ride, very comfortable to drive. They're a little hard to find. We did find one over at Hunt Ford in Kentucky, and we spoke with a guy out there named Jared. Originally, I drove it to see if my wife Dana would like it, and then when she had time, we went back out to look at it again. Now, Jared headed us off to Ashton, who was also very helpful, and she was also very low pressure sales and understanding, and worked with us. They were a great team to work with. I'm not getting paid for this. They were just very easy to deal with. So if you're looking for something and you're in that area or you're nearby, it might be worth going to talk to them. So she test drove it. She loved it. But they had a new one, brand new, that was custom ordered. and just got delivered the day before, which worked out to our advantage because the people that ordered this decided not to take delivery because it took so long to order, because Ford themselves had a recall and they immediately stopped production, which is what Stellantis should do with the Jeeps, but they're not doing that. So this got shipped. We knew the recall had been resolved, and it was only $1,000 more than the used one, so we ended up getting the brand new one. Now, it's not driving like a truck. Again, it drives like a car. It's very smooth. I've heard people say it doesn't have a lot of speed. I've gotten it up to 90 miles an hour during a test drive. I know I shouldn't be driving that fast, but most of you drive faster, so I don't want to hear it. That doesn't mean that it's not rugged enough. It is built on the same chassis as the Ford Bronco Sport and the Ford Escape. So it's got more frame than it needs for what it does. And for a Toad, it's going to be a great money saver and still fairly easy. Now, we ordered the parts from eTrailer. They got shipped, got to us within a couple of days. I installed the parts myself. Originally, I looked at the video, thought I wouldn't be able to do it, called around. No one wanted to do it with the parts that I had already ordered. They wanted to sell their parts because, of course, they have an upcharge on those. So I ended up having to do it myself. And it looks a lot more difficult than it is. You do have to rip off the entire front clip, but it's a lot of pins involved, so it's not super difficult. It is a bit of a pain in the butt. Now, I didn't have a straight amount of time to work on it. I was doing it here and there over the course of 3 or 4 days. And I think basically it boiled down to about, I'd say, 4 to 6 hours of work. We're using the Roadmaster tow bar and base plate, the direct connect. Got that from eTrailer. As I said, the videos make it very easy to install. It looks very daunting, but it was pretty easy. And you see it, there's no cutting on the facade here or on the front clip. This entire front clip, this whole thing had to come off from here back. And there is a clip underneath there for your emissions, or I can't remember what the clip was for, but I forgot to re-clip that, and we had a check engine light, but it was a pretty easy fix. So it wasn't too bad. Got everything together. Now, it is important to note with this, because everything's electronic, it's kind of important to have a charge line on there. A lot of people with the Ford Broncos are saying that they're going out of tow mode. Again, the full-size Bronco, the Bronco Sports, are not flat towable, and for the Maverick, the only thing that's flat towable is the hybrid, which is what we have. Because it's an electronic emergency brake, electronic shifter, everything's electronic. You have to have your key in the on position. You're going to be drawing a little bit of power off that battery. So if you don't have the charge system on there, you're going to end up at some point killing your battery off. And with the Bronco owners, what they're saying is when the battery is dying, then it's going from tow mode into regular mode and just falls automatically back into park. So have some kind of a charge line on there from your tow vehicle to avoid that from happening. According to the manual, your maximum speed while towing is 65 miles an hour. Now, that doesn't say anything about having a rest time or anything like that, so you should be okay. But as a precaution, just to check the battery, we typically stop every couple of hours anyway. Just keep an eye on the battery. Make sure everything's still okay, still in tow mode. We did take one trip from Nashville up to the Smoky Mountains up near Knoxville area, Sevierville, Gatlinburg. And that was only a couple hours, so we didn't really have any problems with that. Pretty confident we're not going to have any problems with Disney. And we tend to stop every couple of hours anyway. That way everybody can get out, stretch their legs, and we can check on the tow vehicle, because I'm a little paranoid after the Jeep caught fire. I have gotten it up to 70 miles an hour trying to pass like a dump truck or something, but for the most part, I'm respecting the 65 mile an hour rule and have not had any troubles with it. In fact, it is about the same weight as the Jeep was, so it's under 4,000 pounds, can be towed easily with a gas RV, can be towed easily with a diesel pusher. Class C. Have not had any problems with the car. I'm not a huge Ford fan, but the hybrid is actually making me reconsider, just simply because of the ride is so smooth, the ease of putting it into flat tow mode, and the gas mileage that we're getting. So that's the Ford Maverick for you. Got a couple of small accessories like the tow hitch, and then there's a storage compartment in the bed. Pretty small. You can put some small things in there, a little hidey hole, we'll call it. And then there's a 12-volt hookup also on the bed that you'd have to remove some bolts and put some stuff on there. But that'd be nice to have too. You can hardwire like an inverter or something like that, or truck bed lights or whatever you want. See, the back seat's not too ridiculously tight. The if I remember how to pull this up, there's little tabs here, and there's the battery compartment right in there. Made it a little odd for wiring, but it kept me from needing to put wires in the engine compartment with moving parts. So there's a couple of things that take some getting used to. One, the shifter. I'm already used to the dial shifter because of the RAM, but it's up here. So every time I go to shift it into gear or out of gear, I turn the fan up or down. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It has an electronic parking brake and then different driving modes. And then this one here, I don't know if you can see that, looks like a little hand waving, but basically that will, if you have that on, when you are stopped at a stoplight or something like that, if you take your foot off the brake, that's on, you will stay stopped. The next one would be usually the fuel door is somewhere down here. Well, it's a button right here, so I keep turning on the cargo light, but I don't also fill this up very often. My wife drives this more than I do, and it's only been filled up probably about 5 times since we bought it 2.5 months ago. Pointed out that some of this trim looks a little bit like those plastic picnic tables, but otherwise nothing too weird. It started right now. You see how it says ready to drive, but you hear no engine sound at all. It is super quiet because it's hybrid. If you're going shorter distances, lower speeds, or if you're at a stoplight or whatever, it will, generally speaking, switch back over to electric driving, and is very quiet. So that's taken some getting used to. There's been multiple times where I've tried to start it and then try to start it again and then again. So it's super quiet, and that does take a lot of getting used to. You can see right now that's our average 40.2 miles a gallon. When you stop, you're getting some, I guess, recharge onto the battery. So you see now I'm in electric driving, and you have different driving modes. I guess that's normal, towing, slick roads, eco, and sport. And don't worry, I've got both hands on the wheel. Big display screen for your, maps will come right up as soon as you plug your phone in. Your music service, whatever you're using for that. We had the orange interior. As I said, this was a custom order. We did not order that, but that was a little weird, but I think it's not distasteful. It's not super bright orange, so it works out pretty well. It does have automatic headlights, and that doesn't mean, like on most vehicles, the automatic headlights just turn on when it's dark, turn off when it's light, or if you have your windshield wipers running or something like that. This one is a little weird. It does that, but in addition to it, it will change and go from regular lights to bright lights on its own. So when we are towing, we make sure we put that in the off position right there. And then also that stop hold thing, that will also be in the off position. I don't know that it will do anything without the engine running, but just in case. Now with this vehicle, unlike the Jeep, you do have to have the steering wheel in the unlocked position, so your key remains in the ignition on the on position, not all the way on to where everything's running, but so that your steering wheel doesn't lock. And you also, Ford recommends that you put the car in recirculate on your AC so that you're not pulling in any outside exhaust from the vehicle that you are being towed behind. So to put it into tow mode is pretty easy. I would suggest doing this while you're already hooked up to your RV. That way you don't have to run the risk of possibly rolling around. They do recommend that you put your parking brake on. Make sure you disengage that parking brake before you install your supplemental braking system if you're using something like the Brake Buddy. So to put it into tow mode, I'm going to turn these windshield wipers off. Turn it till you get your menu. It's the opposite way of my truck. And then you go down here until you see the picture of the truck. That one right there. Hit your menu button. Go down to vehicle settings. Sorry, I passed it. Neutral tow. Hit OK. Hold it, obviously. And there you go. You're in neutral tow mode. You put it in neutral. You're good to go. Take your brake off and then turn your key back one spot. That way your steering wheel doesn't lock up. Actually, two spots. Turns it completely off, but you want it to keep your steering wheel from locking up. So make sure you don't turn it all the way off and keep it that one spot on. Everything else will turn off on its own. That kind of and then you can even turn that screen off if you want to, but eventually it'll turn off by itself. Now, to get it out of tow mode, hit your brake, turn your key, start your car, put it in park. That's it. So it's pretty easy. It's not much more difficult than the Jeep at all, because you don't have to worry about the transfer case, which can be a little difficult to engage with the Jeep sometimes. You don't have to worry about that. So it's actually a lot easier to set up than the Jeep. Just remember to leave it in neutral, leave your key on, and turn off external devices that you're not using, and you should have no problems with it. Overall, it's a good car. We haven't had any problems with it. I hope this helps you with your decision for your next Toad. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to our channels. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all down the road.
Let's hit the road.